We're here with Trek Chats, your internet source for the offbeat, fan-based news you crave about the Star Trek series.
Beaming you behind-the-scenes facts, expert opinions, and fascinating ideas about the planet's most renowned science fiction show.
When we were at a Star Trek convention called the Grand Slam Star Trek, we got a chance to talk to Dr. Star Trek himself, Larry Nemecek. We asked him what he thought most appealed to viewers about the series' second installment, The Next Generation.
So it was popular because it was science fiction. There wasn't a lot of science fiction on, and it was popular. It was optimistic at a time when people were kind of pessimistic, and it gave people, especially young kids and college kids, looking that A, let's survive the present, and B, let's have a future that's worth looking to. And of course, Star Trek is in the 23rd century, so gee, that implies that we didn't blow ourselves up, as Gene used to say, and we did survive, and we didn't overpopulate ourselves, and we did find a way to overcome poverty and overcome, food concerns and pollution and all those matters. And then by the time of The Next Generation and Gene doing a spin-off, it's almost like we thought things were getting better in the 80s and 90s, and there was a time when I think a lot of Star Trek became just as much about projecting the future, and there's always been science advisors, so they've always been on firm ground there, but I almost look back and wonder if we got a little self-confident in the 80s and 90s, and I think, I hate to say the post-9/11 world, but we've kind of shaken out of some of that, and now we look back and see, the economic order, the green movement, our environmental concerns are just as big now as they ever were. And it's almost like we've come full circle now to where science fiction as a field has gotten over the hopeful shows of the 80s and 90s, the E.T.s and Close Encounters, and we've gone back to dystopian science fiction and dystopian genre shows. Modern, a lot of, since post-Vietnam Watergate, we've had a lot of can't trust the government, can't trust anyone. And all of those are kind of fickle. Now that original, pure Star Trek, it's almost come full circle to where we need as much positivism as we can find, because our other science fiction, our other fantasy genres have gone back to being, negative views. Or, boy, we survived by the skin of our teeth. And it's almost like we're back in the 60s, in a way. So many people are struggling career-wise, economically. There's a lot of hope for the future with the digital generation. We're exploring space and learning more about the cosmos as much as we ever have. We're identifying real-life Class M planets now. But as far as what we see on TV and all that, I think we're as ripe for optimistic as we ever were. And that's why I think Star Trek's not getting old. The generation that grew up in Next Generation loves it sentimentally, but people are still hungry for those optimistic lessons. And Next Generation, even more than the original series, would talk about we've outgrown class and currency and money, and if you've got replicators that can make gold, who cares who's got bullion in Fort Knox? Kind of a thing. So